Welcome to another episode of the Flats Nation podcast. And a big shout out to Brother Dave Fader down in Amarada for the awesome music. You can check out more of Dave's phenomenal work on davidfader.com. Well, this is your guide, Dave Lusher from Flats Nation, and today we have an award-winning outdoor writer, Keith Lusher, with us. I'm really looking forward to this interview. We're going to geek out a little bit with Keith on how to help you get some better photography, even on your phone, for your trips to help share with your family or to put on various social media. And Keith is really the master at grabbing fish and airborne pictures, so this should really be a great show. Welcome aboard, Keith. Glad to have you on board. Can we get a quick history on Brother Keith and the various media outlets that you work with?
Sure. My main claim to fame was building, and I still operate Northshore FishingReport.com. That was in 2012. And of course, that led to all, my newspaper writing. I now write for the Slidell Independent newspaper, Louisiana Sportsman magazine, just a lot of other, crappienow.com, Outdoor Hub. It's led to a lot of opportunities, and it was a really smart move to build that. I'm really glad I did it back in 2012. Also write for the St. Tammany Parish Tourism Commission, so that's a big opportunity writing for the state like that. And I do some other things. I'm kind of venturing into more photography now that I've got a niche to say, like you say, with the airborne fish. I'm really embracing that.
That's great shots.
Just enjoying creating things, Dave. I mean, especially with the internet like it is, we have so many opportunities. The writing isn't like it used to be for the magazines. Everything is so splintered, but with it being splintered, that's just more opportunities. It might not pay as much, but it's always a new adventure, taking on new assignments.
What is the majority of those topics, though? Is it fishing or is it outdoors in general? What's your niche?
Yeah, it's definitely fishing. Although I've had Miss Kara Clark contacted me with Magnolia and Moonshine, and that's the first magazine that I've written for that wasn't specifically fishing. Now, it was a crabbing article, but it was about us. It's my first magazine that is not, specifically tailored to the fishing audience. That's more of a Southern, style magazine. So I kind of had to change up my words that I'm used to. The fishing lingo, the fishing slang that I usually use, I couldn't use, he casted. And instead of throw, I usually use throw instead of cast. I get it. I had to polish up the throws and stuff like that. So, but I'm learning, I'm just having fun and using the excuse of having to write an article for going fishing.
Exactly. So how did you get your start in majority of it with your photography? Was it always an interest, or did it grow from other activities of yours?
No. Photography was never an interest at all. It was always writing. I used to write newspaper articles on how to catch turtles in the ditch in the front yard, and nobody would read them because it wasn't a real newspaper. So I don't know why I wrote them. Looking back on that, I should embrace that, but I didn't know that, God puts certain things in us and it comes out at an early age. So I look back on those newspaper articles I've written, and I kind of see, okay, that's something that's inside me, and I really love to do it. Started writing high school football, prep football roundups for, I guess that was about 2008. So I wrote for the paper there. Then I created Northshore Fishing Report, and then I started writing weekly fishing articles for Slidell Independent newspaper and all the other stuff that came along with it. But photography was forced for me. When Louisiana Sportsman came along and they wanted me to write some features, I took some pictures, and there was a few that Dave, the internet's great, but when you open up a magazine and it's just, you see that photo, there's something about print with a photo.
There is.
I can't explain it. And I remember it was a speckled trout fishing article that I went on, and It was a double page layout. I opened it up and it was just like, the photo was 10 times better than what I had on my camera. And I guess maybe because of the text, the overlay and, the exciting and flashy stuff like that. And that's when I really started to say, hey, wait, the writing I was really into, but I can really jazz up these articles with my photography. And then the wheels in my head just started going. I mean, I can get this. And if I wrote my article ahead of time and went out, I could get pictures that specifically reflected my article, which is something that a lot of people don't do. It's just general, like if I'm going red fishing, it's, picture of a redfish. But if the guy's using a certain lure, you can get the certain lure in the redfish's mouth. It just adds to the story.
It does.
And authenticity. I've taken it from there, and I now, it's, people talk about fishing when I go fishing with gentlemen, and sometimes I don't even have a pole, and they're just perplexed. They're like, you don't have a pole. I said, listen, this is my fishing. You catch that 10-pound bass, I'm gonna get that magical photo that might even be so good that I print it on a canvas and hang it in my home,
Exactly.
and make the magazine. It's all about the story of getting that shot. That's what I love. I love getting those shots, and it's just taking chances, getting in the water and making it happen.
Well, I have discovered in my endeavors that I cannot take both. So if I'm taking the rods, I'll never break the camera out.
Yeah.
It's so I have to dedicate the trip for the purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's,
yeah.
Every time I take
hear
both, I'm making one more cast and I miss that shot that I wanted to take. Or I have the photo, I'm getting ready to take a picture, and then I see this fish coming flying out of the water.
Yeah.
So I've just had to sit there and get that mental discipline of what is the purpose of this trip. And but I agree with you wholeheartedly. Even if somebody else is fishing, if I'm getting the photography, I'm setting the scene, writing an article. Oh, I love that. That's just as good as having the rod in my hand.
Yeah, I don't even. The rod in my hand means I'm losing opportunity with the camera. And so, I mean, I've been fishing, since before I can remember. So I've caught plenty of fish. I've done it before. If I go out there with somebody and I'm fishing along with them and we catch 20 speckled trout, okay, we come home, clean them up. It's over. There's nothing to remember these fish by. There's nothing. But with my camera, the possibilities of these magical shots, that last forever.
Right.
And they really last forever when they're in the magazine because you'll have them,
It's true. Very true. With the type of photography that you're doing, which is pretty close to what we're doing on Flats Nation, you just seem to be a lot more involved of that aspect of getting fish coming out of the water, which is just phenomenal. What do you consider the most challenging aspect of that part of your journey? Is it having to get in the water to get some of that, or is it what are you battling with?
Well, I tell you, the first thing is the lack of fish. If I'm going fishing hard and the poor guy can't catch a fish, that's really hard.
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I'm down to maybe trying to get some pictures of some shad or some bait fish or something to try to work into my articles. But that's the biggest problem.
That's why they call it fishing, not catching.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm sorry, man. They're usually here. I'm like, man, look, this is fishing. I understand.
I get it.
Water clarity is another problem.
Okay.
Especially down here, man. I'm so jealous when I see, especially you with Florida and then the rainbow trout guys up there. I'm like, what I could do with clear water like that. I mean, I have to get on top of my fish to even see what it's. I mean, you've seen my posts, and it's like, boy, if that was just a little bit clearer, it'd been so much better. It's just water down here, and it's the Mississippi River.
I get it. It's a
draining down here. It's why the fishing is so good. Those fish love that fresh water mixing with that salt water is amazing. So
that tea-colored water.
Yeah. But water clarity is a problem. I'm always looking for clean water.
So
Time.
does that
Just
does
time.
that aspect though, Keith, with water clarity, does that kind of push your photography to be more in, let's say, the cooler months where the water's more clear?
Yes, I know the months, and
Okay.
I know the months where each location's going to be prime. The late in the summer when the rivers get real low, and we'll have maybe a good start. Every summer we have a good drought, maybe a week or two, where it doesn't rain and everything's just barely trickling. And man, the rivers really clean up. The streams clean up. The ponds do not clean up. The ponds are at their worst because the sun is beating down on them all summer. So the ponds, see, it's just different areas are best. Ponds are best midwinter. All the algae's gone, and it's just that dark green, clean water. So that's what I film in the ponds. But I know when the calendar turns, where my options are going to be as far as cleaner water, at least.
Now, is the majority of the photography that you're doing for the magazine, is it fresh or salt water, or is it a mix of both?
The majority is fresh, only because saltwater trips are a little more difficult to go on. I do crappie, or we call them sockeye here, bass, perch. I guess it's about 60-40 freshwater over salt.
So what are your favorite subjects to grab pictures for your magazine, for your articles? Is it the fish themselves or the scenes?
Favorite, yeah. The favorite are the over under pictures. That's the half of it's a horizontal shot. Half of the scene is above the water. So that would be the angler on the boat setting the hook on the fish, line coming down into the water, and then you could see underneath the water in the fish fighting underneath. Those are by far my favorite picture. And those are the hardest to get, but man, it tells a picture that, what's happening above the water and what's happening below the water.
It's the entire story. Yes, real so.
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite.
So now, what have you developed technique-wise to help overcome for that, to be able to get those types of shots? Is there a specific lens that you like to use? What is your step?
So the over under shots are actually filmed on GoPros. That's a dome. Yeah, that's a dome. So I've been learning more about, how to take still shots from GoPro, filming in slow motion. And it's really hard to describe. You really don't know when you're going to get the shot, because you're just turning the camera at different angles, and you're just hoping that one split second that fish could turn, look at your camera, look like he's running away from the boat and the fisherman. And it's just, when you get it, it's just, I love it. I really do love it. So that's actually a GoPro that I use to get those, and I bring it back and edit it to get what I want out of it. But I wish I could figure out a way to bury my Canon inside of a dome, but
it's true. How are you supporting the camera? Is this a handheld shot, or are you using a monopod?
It's two handles, one on the left, one on the right, and then the dome in the middle. And then the GoPro plugs into the back and it locks in. And you just hit record and go to town. Now, I record on slow motion 4K, so it's pretty heavy files, so I don't record them for too long, because I know I'm going to struggle when I bring them back to my Mac. So I'll purposely do little segments of a minute or two, and then hit record, hit stop record, and then, do another session. So
that's still a lot of frames to dig through to find that one magic moment.
Yeah, it is. But it's very exciting when you get very close to, this could be it, and it's happening in slow motion, and then you hit pause, and it's like, that's it, I have it. It's just a game, Dave. It's a fun game.
It's a challenge to be able to really get it set up correctly. And our next section to talk about is tips and techniques. What do you look for in that type of image, Keith? Are you wanting to make sure that the boat is sitting at a certain angle? How are you setting and framing these shots mentally before you get into the water or from another boat to be able to take them?
Sure. I always try to pick a great background. The background is something that a lot of people do not even look for, but I've learned that it can really make a photo. Over here in the swamp, we have the cypress trees with the moss hanging from them. We have some really spectacular backgrounds that if you could just find them, that's where you want it. Especially like the grip and grin that make the cover of the magazines. When I head out with an angler on the boat, I'm constantly scanning the horizon for the background I want. And generally, after we'll put those fish in the live well, and on the way back, that'll be the last thing we do. And we'll tell him, go here. That's the background I want. Always sunlight in the opposite direction. Every once in a while, you see some fishermen come out with some great photographs of the silhouette, with the sun shining at it. I don't have the time to spend playing around with trying to shoot into the sun. So my default is always sun in the opposite direction. So sun in the opposite direction, good background. Golden hour, shoot the golden hours. If I have the option to shoot in the golden hour, I'm always going to take that shot. I just try to strategically set up my day, try to get into the water last if it's the cooler months where I don't have to go the whole day wet. It's just, lilies. Another thing is lilies or eelgrass. Eelgrass really comes up good. Down here we have eelgrass, and sometimes it's 4 to 5 feet and it just waves. And I'm sure you're familiar with it in Florida as well. And it's just got that soothing kind of wave that it does. And that is beautiful underwater. You can get a fish on a line, with that right underneath it. That makes for a very beautiful picture.
So I would assume that to be able to get that type of photography and get it well, that the majority of those types of shots are going to be taken when you've got the sun fairly high in the sky so that you can get that light penetrating out into the water.
Yeah. Winter is a pain. It's just a pain. It's a pain just to schedule a trip. With the fronts that comes down.
Exactly.
It mess everything up. The pressure, the barometric pressure. Sometimes in winter, it'll be cloudy for 3 days. And those 3 days are gone. I cannot stand shooting, with overcast unless it's a cold weather feature where it fits, the dark skies and everything, a midwinter piece. But, I just can't stand the cloudy, because when you're shooting, especially with like the GoPro in the slow-mo, it's so dark. You really need that sun shining straight down. So I'm really loving summer right now with this high sun angle, getting in that water and not worrying about the darkness, the low light.
What technology have you started to adapt and use? Because you and I both know it changes a lot. Just look at cameras. The resolutions have changed phenomenally just in the last year. What is in the market, what you can get, especially when you're doing video work, whether it's 4K, 6K, 8K, which amazing technology. What have you adapted in your workflow for the type of photography that you're getting for your magazine that has really helped you cut down on processing times or just composition in general?
Well, one good thing that technology has is back in the day when we used to take pictures, we used to have to use them sparingly. We had 24 on a roll, and now it's like, I come from a time where I'm taking pictures, I'm hitting it, bam, 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 bam. I don't care, I'm not sparingly with the button. I'll hit it. I just take a lot of pictures. That's because I know if I take, 1,000 pictures, I'm going to get what I need. So I take a lot of pictures. They made some pretty strong photo apps that I run my stuff through that'll fix some smudges and stuff on my photos, that I need. I haven't really locked on to any one specifically. I like Snap and I like Photo Pills and Lightroom. But I just go to that if I need it. That's about it. I'd like to get your opinion on that, though. What do you use?
I use Lightroom a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of other free photography programs that I use for various types of editing. That's just quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I'm taking our photography and I'm putting logos upon it.
I was
One
about
thing,
to bring that up.
I have a program that I use that just makes the ability to do that so quick. I love Lightroom, but it has a propensity that it takes me 10 steps to do something that
Mm-hmm.
in other programs I can do it in 3
Mm-hmm.
and do it quickly and go, okay, that's perfect. That's just what I needed. Or it's just easier to work with. I love Adobe products, but they have a propensity to make everything just a little bit overcomplicated. You just got to spend a lot of time learning it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do, it's great. And it always seems for me, even though I have a pretty deep IT background, just when I get working with it real well, they change it up. I'm like, now where is that setting again? That's frustrating.
Why can't they just leave it the same?
Or just leave it in the same place. If you want to augment it, that's fine. Just leave it in the same place. Just reading and looking for it
Right.
can be a real pain. But I think, especially for our listeners that like to take photography for their pictures, to take and share them on their social media or with their family, I have this little program I use. It's a Windows-based program. It's paint.net. You'd be amazed the little quick, what I call down and dirty edits that I can make with that. To be able to add logos and advertising content and things, that's usually the first thing I pop open after I've gotten the picture edited to the point that I like what I'm seeing, and I'm just adding those components to it. Paint.net. It's free.
Isn't that amazing how
It is.
how the text over, I create stuff and it looks like magazine covers, and it's like, I can't believe how far we've come to where people like us can make what looks like a magazine cover, just so professional. In online stuff too. I mean, you go online, it's free.
There's a program that I use to take the background out of logos. It's AI based.
Out of logos. Okay.
So there's certain logos, or let's just say it's written text. If you were to put it onto a picture that's a JPEG, well, it's going to wash out the background. But I have a link that I can use that I send it to it, and I just let it scrub out the background, and then it becomes transparent on the picture that I'm using.
Oh, wow. Wow. Can you share that?
Oh, I'd be happy to. I'll be happy to.
That's a big problem for a lot of people. Yeah, getting that transparent background on a logo.
And it just, now you can put it over clouds, or now you can put it over a darker background, or you can add it and blend it to something to make it look like you're trying to create an advertisement. A lot of that, even using a PNG file doesn't necessarily do it, or it'll leave a little bit of a haze in the background. It doesn't allow that transparency to go through. But I have a couple of programs that I've used that just makes it happen so quickly. And then I just drop them during the photo. I add a layer to the photo, and I think that's a trick too. I'm adding a layer to the photo, and those are going on that layer that's on the top.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
And I think that helps with that. Instead of just trying to edit the base photo, by adding a layer to it and then adding those elements to it, well, the first thing it does is it makes it easier to move them around. But you still got to be committed to saying, okay, I have this one here. I'm going to lock it down there. And if I'm going to add another one, you have to be mindful of where you're placing it. So you have to put a little bit of thought into your composition at that time as to how you're putting it together. But it's amazing how fast it can be done. I even used it to create business cards and stuff that really just pop because it's a piece of our photography that we have, and it has our logo on it, and it just blends right into the background.
Yeah. Yes. Something about a crisp logo on a high quality photo.
Well, it's like an article that you and I write. We're trying to set a mood. I spent many years locked up in a cubicle, as I call it. It's like fluorescent hell. So my wallpaper on my PC screens was my mental escape while I was working. So you're setting that mood of on Flats Nation. We have a section for free wallpaper that you can download for your PC of places that you would rather be. That's why I like to frame it.
Yes. Well said.
So by setting up that type of mood, and you and I do the same a lot when I read your articles, we're framing the mood. We're putting our readers and our listeners there with us.
Oh, yeah. Boy, you get a good story and a photo to match. You know, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and then you pair it with a 1,000-word article, it can really do some damage.
It can. Let's talk gear and tailor some of this to some of our listeners who enjoyed this type of creation on their own. What do you, other than the GoPro, camera body wise, are you using a mirrorless or are you using DSLR? What's your weapon?
Yeah, I have a Canon EOS Rebel. I mean, really basic. iPhone, definitely. I mean, I use an iPhone a lot. It's always in my pocket.
That's right. It's always there.
The quality, let's just say that the iPhone, with how many I take, I get what I need from the iPhone. Now, it will have, especially zooming in, it'll whack out. You know, the more you try to get really close to things, it just does some wacky stuff.
It's not a camera. I hate to say it.
Yeah. But it gets the job done if I just think of something on the fly and I want to hit it. It is my base camera. I'll use my EOS Rebel, but I'll use the Canon for specific shots. I like to use my Canon when I walk the bank and the fisherman just fishes, and I like that wide shot where it just works the best for me. The Canon for the farther away shots, but I am using it more for the zoom in, really tight shots. On the lures, and I've been getting into using. There's another shot that I like. I like when a fisherman is reeling in a fish and he flips it into the boat, and I get it coming right across the camera. You know, I really enjoy that, and I've been using my Canon more for that too, just because it could freeze so much better.
Right. Collecting so much more data. What lens combination do you normally? What's the lens of choice that you've got mounted on that body?
It's under 200 millimeter. I mean, I have two. I have my zoom that I add on when I really need to zoom. But you know, the one that's under it's not very powerful.
Well, it's like mine. I have a 24-70 is what I generally consider my everyday lens, though. It's amazing, as you and I have talked about. I'll throw a wide angle on there, and the wide angle, I just love wide angle photography. It takes a little while to get proficient with it, in my opinion. You've got to be mindful of how you're composing the shot, because you can run into it just looks like it's just too far away in a lot of cases. But it's easy to zoom in, and it's also easier to walk closer to something. And I just like that effect. I think it more duplicates how we visually see everything.
So a good replication of what is naturally seen.
Yeah. I have a 14-30 wide angle that I use a lot, and it's a lot of times it lives on 30 millimeter. And that's pretty much close to the way the human eye, with its ability to see wide angle. I mean, I wish we could get a camera that was as good as our eye. I really do.
Well, yeah.
It would make life a lot easier for me. I wouldn't have to do so much editing, because that's, as you and I have talked about, I strive to get the photography to get how I saw it. I don't think you're going to paint the picture any better than the way God created it.
Right.
So to be able to have a camera that can get what I saw, or at least get the picture edited back to what I saw at that time, is my goal with the way I edit our photography for Flats Nation. That's why I was curious with the lens that you use while you're framing these shots. What do you like to use, and what lives on your body? When I go to your camera bag and I pull it out, what's the lens that's still on it?
The one that came with it.
Exactly. Well, you'd be amazed. Some of those kit lenses are great.
And I'm still on the green auto, man. If it works, and I'll adjust the aperture, if I'm zooming in or zooming out, if I need more light. And I'll venture into that, but I'm still on auto. I'm still just I just need time, Dave. I need time to dig into all of this. Like I said, I'm not, I never started with photography, and it just kind of, I think my visual creativity is my strength, and if it leads to me needing to learn more about cameras and everything, so be it. I'll get to that point. But man, I'm just hitting the three, the iPhone, the GoPro, and the Canon I bring out there, and I just grab what I think is going to make for the best shot.
So now, when you're taking these pictures in your Canon, are you shooting these in a RAW format, or are you shooting JPEG?
I should start shooting in RAW. Do you shoot in RAW?
Actually, I've gone the other way.
Okay.
And sometimes I set the camera up to take one of each.
Okay. I shoot in JPEG, but
I do a lot of shooting
more
JPEG.
about RAW and like how you can edit it. It's easier for editing. I just don't. I just go with what's quicker, what gives me to the best quality when I download it onto my Mac, and I can get it to the story.
The one thing about RAW files, you have to edit them.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
they look awful. Yeah.
I can take a JPEG and go, okay, that's close enough. Or there's,
you can
I don't
still
have to
edit
spend
a JPEG.
Oh yes, and it's amazing. The tools to edit JPEG have really come along. It used to be that you were very limited to what you could do with a JPEG file. That's not necessarily the case anymore. Do you have the ability to edit one as wildly as you would a RAW file? No, not at all. Right. But I've actually set the camera up to grab one of both, to grab a RAW file and a JPEG at the same time. And it does make for more time in the workflow to sit there and dig through them and see which one you like better. But there's just sometimes that the JPEG looks beautiful. I'll go with it. I'll go with it, make a couple of quick edits, and I go, that's perfect. It's just what I needed to. Again, for my photography, I'm just trying to get it back to how I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you find that's useful? I mean, you've gone both JPEG and RAW when needed?
I've gone both, and sometimes I just have the camera set to grab one each. So if I'm taking a picture of something, it's grabbing a RAW file and a JPEG at the same time.
Okay.
And I could sit there and go, well, that's pretty good. Oh, that's good enough. Or I really like how that shot turned out, but I'm not a real fan of how the JPEG rendered it. So I'll pop the RAW file open then and say, okay, now you got to spend 15, 20 minutes editing that type of. That's the killer on it, is the time that it takes. But with your GoPro photography that you're doing for these water shots, you're basically filming video and picking a shot out of it. So is it a MP4 file that I'm not very familiar with GoPros. I don't use them very often.
Yes, it's MP4. It's MP4. Yeah.
So you're just pulling a frame out of a video at that point.
Yes. Not a screenshot. A screenshot loses quality. There's the ability GoPro makes it to where you hit pause and literally says take this file, and it's a large file, and it works perfectly like that. Now I do have to go in and do some editing on GoPro because it's just got that slight blur, that video look that you just need to clean up. But I do a lot of work on GoPro. I've been using GoPro. I've figured out there are a lot of scenes that you can get with a GoPro if you just set that sucker up and you take the fish and run towards it. Just literally run towards it. It for some reason that GoPro captures motion and action, and it makes the picture come alive. I've been doing a lot of just tell the guy, run to the camera, just run as fast as you can to the camera, and it really captures some good moments.
What is its field of view though compared to like your Canon? There's got to be some.
I set it on linear.
Okay.
I set it on linear. I cannot stand the fisheye view. I've long been done with the fisheye view on GoPro linear, and you just kind of get the hang of what's in. I mean, I've been doing it for so long. I know what's in the in the shot and what's not. I have a studio that I built to do interviews, and I literally have a tripod and I run the GoPro straight to the audio, to the mixer. I leave it in linear. I have a flat screen TV in the back of me on the wall, and I usually put photos of the guy I'm interviewing or video. Maybe he's got some YouTube videos that I'll play in the background while I'm interviewing, and the GoPro works fine for that too. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen very many that type of work with a GoPro camera. I mean, I know they're fully capable of doing it, but I would think that would be more the preview of a Canon or a Nikon or something of that nature, where it's a bigger lens, a bigger sensor.
And yeah, I'm sure that would work better. It's just, this is where I got my start so long ago,
Sure.
And I'm lazy. If it's been working and I'm
broke, don't fix it. I get it.
It's 1080p to go, on YouTube or whatnot, to embed into the website, I'm good with it. I'm a creature of habit.
What about low light photography conditions? What do you do to help? And I know it's a bear. I fight with it myself. What do you do to help compensate for that slower shutter speed? I mean, are you taking a majority of that photography on a monopod or a tripod, or a delay in snapping the picture? What are you compensating for that?
Well, I mean, other than up in the the aperture, really, I learned to just maximize naturally what the day is going to be in store. If I need to, first of all, if I need bright shots, and my bright shots are all action shots, I'm constantly watching the clouds because I need that sun to come out.
Right.
I need so the half and half videos from the GoPro I can't do with clouds, just because it's 4K and it's slow-mo and it's really, really dark.
Light, right. I get it.
So I'll get really upset if I'm trying to go on a cloudy day, because that just about eliminates my GoPro and my half and half shots or my underwater shots. Man, I just try different things. As far as I'll usually go, I'll go half with an iPhone and then half with my Canon, and see what happens. Man, I messed with ISO one time, and man, it ruined my whole day. As far as, it was just, everything was just so bright, and I lost all my pictures. So I'm hesitant to even mess with ISO. I usually leave it low, 100, 200.
Right.
Like that. It's just, I'm just so hesitant to mess with anything as far as the Canon is concerned, to where I have it set up. But I really have to hunker down and learn this, the what would they call it? The Trinity, that it all comes together, shutter speed, and
it can. I've made some changes to how.
Do you have a base preset that you roll with?
Oh, I do. It's 100 for ISO, but okay. I also allow the camera to creep up if it needs to.
Okay.
My thought process is, there's a computer built in this camera body.
Right.
And I'm going to put it to work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I let the camera do, because it can make those computations a lot quicker than I can, especially in a quick light changing situation. You've seen some of the photography I grab with lightning. You're going from pitch black to as bright as you can get. So you've got to allow the camera to be able to respond to that. So I've heard different dissertations about, well, I shoot only ISO 100 and that's all I ever. Well, some of the pictures that I grab, it wouldn't work. They would be so dark, or it would have so much noise that it would just take forever. I think the big misconception with ISO is they really don't understand what it actually is. And it's just signal to noise ratio is what's happening. So you have to allow the camera to increase that to be able to compensate for that as that light starts to drop off. But again, you've experimentation. The most difficult computer I have ever learned, and I spent decades in the IT space, has been the camera.
Uh-huh.
First off, it doesn't have a keyboard or a mouse tied to it, but it's just the fact that there is so many things that they can do nowadays. It is literally a computer with a lens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's some preconceived ideas that, oh, I only shoot on manual, or I can only shoot on auto, I can only do this. If you allow that computer and that camera to work with you, it will.
Mm-hmm.
It will, and it will return some fantastic shots. It just have to.
I definitely need to dig deeper into that world. I just need to find some more time, man. I got 3 little girls, and
I get it.
It's like, man, the time I do find, it's like I just want to rest. I don't want to read manuals, so I will be forced to go down that rabbit hole soon, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to find the highest quality with using my Rebel.
Well, I call it YouTube University. You'd be amazed what you can find on there.
Absolutely. It's all there.
If you do some searches, and you have to consider the source, because sometimes they're wrong. I hate to say it, but there is unlimited amount of knowledge on YouTube when it comes to the stuff that you and I do on a daily basis. And you can greatly reduce a learning curve by having somebody else explain it to you and why they do it that way. It may not necessarily be correct for your use case. The type of photography that you and I are getting, the outdoors action type shots combined with fighting in low light, is not going to be the same type of photography you use for picture.
Absolutely not. No, it's probably the most challenging. I mean,
it is. In my
opinion,
you
got water reflecting, you have, sunlight, there's just so much factors, especially with me getting in the water. With a water level being right at the lens, it's almost like you don't know what's gonna, what kind of refractions are gonna come off.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a different, completely different animal.
Well, and I think that's where allowing these computers and these cameras to compensate for that can do that so quickly. I have a picture I really love. It's a lightning bolt at sunset, and you would think that you have the sun, you have the clouds, the sunlight is reflecting off the cloud, the lightning is going through the cloud, yet if you look in the corner where the sky is clear, you can see stars.
Oh, wow.
So for the camera to be able to grab all of that light, because that's all you're doing, you're just grabbing light, and not lose it, and not allow the lightning bolt to so dominate the rest of the picture that it's just a big flash bulb, it's just amazing. But that takes understanding ISO, understanding the what is the best aperture for that time, because you're in a constant, just like your photography. I mean, I look at your pictures and I love those where they're coming out of the water. I look at that and I go, to be able to grab all of that data, because that's what it is, light data, the reflection of the water, the sky, and something not getting blown out in the process. Is where this modern photography with these computers is able to do, to be able to grab that. It's still the lens. You could have an expensive camera body and a cheap lens, and you're not going to get very good photography. And I feel the other way around. It's the lens, because that's what's transmitting the light to the sensor. So I actually have some other cameras that I've worked with that are older, but being able to have a decent lens on there, and a little bit of programming to understand that use case really comes in handy when it comes.
Well, Dave, I'm going to keep you on speed dial, because you're going to be helping me in the future.
You know how to reach me, brother. That's for sure.
Hey, well,
when you are
so much space in my brain, it feels like I got to take something out to put something new in. So
exactly. I said that the other day. I need to run defrag on my brain.
Oh,
just to pick off a piece of something that was back in.
I know, something useless that you remember that you just don't need anymore. Just get rid of it. Make some new room.
It's exactly. Sometimes I just need to format and start over again too. When you're doing your post editing for your needs with your magazine, are you posting those in a JPEG at that point? I mean, what is your final output when you're saving these?
Yeah, JPEG.
Are they?
It's all JPEG. Yeah, it's all JPEG. Sometimes I'll grab a screenshot. But I find that, I can run it through and export it. Everything that goes into my folder that goes to the magazine is JPEG. Very rarely as a PNG.
What about the person who's looking to improve their quality of the photography and video that they're using to grab, for their social media or, just for their Facebook page or whatever the case may be? What do you recommend to them as a beginner that they should try working with first to learn how to do that? Are you
it's
still
definitely
saying iPhone?
Yeah, it's definitely iPhone. I mean, that's where you're going to start. That's what you have already. Start with that, and then let the problem present itself, and then you can do your research into work to how to fix that, and then move into a base camera. But yeah, absolutely iPhone. I mean, it takes wonderful pictures. And then move on from there. GoPro does good too, and that's very affordable.
Now, which model of GoPro are you using for the majority of your work?
I have a 9, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never really got caught up. When I get a new GoPro, when I lose my old GoPro, that's when I get a new GoPro.
Works for me.
So
yeah, you can chase technology
to the point. Actually.
I agree. You can chase after technology to the point where you just go broke.
Yeah. My strength is definitely artistic visualization.
Exactly.
I mean, I that's just what I like. Whatever tool I need to get that, I'll grab. I have, between the iPhone, the GoPro, and the Canon, I'll do what I need to do to get the shot. But I think that's my strength. It's just visualizing the scene and what I want to happen in the scene, what I want to capture.
Exactly. I say this a lot. It's not the gear. It's the eye that composes the shot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Visualization,
man. I'll tell you, and it's not only in writing and photography, it's just life. If you can visualize the end product and work your way forward to get there, it's just so much quicker and easier.
Do you have a set format, Keith, that you use when you're looking to do, let's say, an ad or an article for, let's say, a lure company? Do you have, I'm going to take pictures of the product here, I'm going to take pictures of the product there. How do you formulate your base workflow?
That's tough because that's brand new as far as taking lure specific photos, and placing ads over them. I just started working with Collier Thornton with Flash and Assassin. So that's a brand new world for me. Everything, I'll use the Canon, I'll use the iPhone and whatever gives me the best shot. At the end of the day, I'll take the absolute best shot and then I'll go into either pick font or, another program to put some text over it and dress it up. But edit it, bring it home, edit it, and get it done. But that's definitely a fun world that I'm getting into as far as taking pictures of the lures.
So do you write the storyline ahead of time as to what you're looking to accomplish, to give yourself a mental checklist that I want to do X, Y, and Z?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I will forget it when I get out there. I have a sheet of paper that's laminated that I bring out there. That forces me to hit all the different scenarios that I want to get. Rip and grin. I do a scene where I lay the fish on the bow. I get very close to the fish, and then I'll have the angler in the background run quickly towards it with his hand out. That always generates a great photo. Right. If anybody wants to try that, outdoor writers, try that. Just put a fish on the bow like it was just flipped onto the bow, and then run straight at it with your hand out. And I like to put them under pressure and give them a time limit. Like, you try to grab this fish in 2 seconds, and I'll count it down to where they really have to hustle. And you would be surprised the magic that happens with action. I mean, I love action.
Right.
Action is just...
well, that is a strong suit of your photography. That's what I love about it.
Thank you.
It's a freeze frame of being there at that time, where that water, the fish is coming out of the water, or the angler is grabbing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's places where you would rather be. It's that story. You're setting that story, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's at angles that you don't see hardly at all.
No,
No,
not at all.
I've been experimenting with the last trip I went on. My instincts said to stop before I got to the lilies, turn around and take the picture of the angler. And I was like, wait, let me push past these lilies. That way the lilies are in the foreground, then the bass is middle, and then the angler in the back. And man, it all comes together. Just the depth that presents. So I'm just learning, just trying different stuff and then learning and
yeah,
hopefully progressing every day and moving forward and getting better.
This is true. Any other tips or tricks, photography-wise, you would like to share with our listeners to help them improve the quality of their output?
Visualization, Dave.
Yes, very much so.
Just visualize what, instead of waiting for a picture to happen. That's just a horrible feeling for me. Visualize what you want in that magazine. Specifically, I shoot my magazine. The writing forces my photography. I never was a photographer. It's the writing that forces me to get out there and do it. And then everything else goes from there. The lore part, adding text over lore and putting the ads, and then using some for my website, for my newspaper article. But just getting out there and visualizing what the scene is. Went out on Lake Bourne and did an article for, fishing the oil rigs. And the guy holds up a fish and he goes, all right, take some pictures. And he's standing there and the background is just nothing but water. And the oil rig's in the back of us. And like, no, turn around, get right by the oil rig. The oil rig's towering above the guy holding the fish. And that's just little things like that you got to remember. You're writing an article about an oil rig, you have to incorporate that oil rig. Just try to incorporate everything in. I just wrote an article for Louisiana Sportsman about sheepshead minnows, using sheepshead minnows for bait. So I went set the minnow trap, about 20 sheepshead minnows, opened the trap, and they're flipping around on the mud, and I got a close up of them flipping around in the mud, and hopefully they select that for a 2-page opener, because it came out really good. Kind of think outside the box and
true.
And take what you're writing about and try to take pictures of everything that's involved in that story.
I would agree. Well, Keith, thanks for joining us today. I do appreciate it. It's great. We'll have you back on again soon, especially as we develop this series of working with everybody to be able to get better photography or videography for their personal use. What contact information, if a company or somebody was wanting to reach out to you to do some work, what's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Well, thanks for asking that, Dave. My LinkedIn profile, it's the living, breathing resume of what we used to deal with resumes, but LinkedIn, I use LinkedIn a lot. Keith Lusher Jr. at gmail.com. I just use a regular phone, 985-373-5974. Give me a call, give me a text.
Well, great. Thanks for joining us today, buddy. I do appreciate it, and looking forward to getting you on again soon and covering this more in depth.
Absolutely, Dave, and thanks for teaching me a little bit more about photography as far as the technical side.
I was coming to you as the master, brother. Oh, that's great.
That's good to be coming back to you, buddy.
You got my number. Feel free to ping me anytime, brother. I do appreciate it.
I enjoyed it tremendously.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Now, we'll add some quick tips to the article for this show to help you take better pictures. You can also read more about these same topics in our online magazine's photography and art category, found at flatsnation.com. And if you enjoy this type of content, some of our fans' favorite pictures can be downloaded from our free PC wallpaper selection to help you spruce up your home or office workspace. Also, our store's casual and the newer Flats Nation technical wear has been updated. You can check them out and order them and other cool merch on our site by clicking on the link at the top title bar for our store. We hope you enjoyed our show today. Flats Nation is your answer for reviewing your products and services related to flats and inshore fishing. But that's not all. Flats Nation is the perfect place to advertise your products or services that connect to our passion. Do you have a product for a tow vehicle? How about a new lure? Want to advertise your guide service? Call us at 941-271-5055 or email us at info@flatsnation.com and let us get the desired exposure. And now, here's the rest of Dave's awesome tune to run the skiff back home with. Tight lines and God bless.